I begin my opening sequence by creating an immediate enigma code by letting diegetic sound play over the production cards. My target audience would be engaged straight away, and it would also appeal to them as it is a convention often used in social realism films. The beginning shot is a long panning shot, with a lengthier duration than normal, as I wanted to have some shots that lasted a bit longer than normal, as I admire the way some social realism directors do this, such as Ken Loach did for A Room for Romeo Brass. I think that it creates more interesting and artistic cinematography. Using long shots such as this one, and one of Steve drunkenly walking by the embankment, is my unique selling point of my film. That I let some shots last as long as 10 seconds not only create variation of shot types, but to also act as a technique of holding the audience's attention as the characters move about the frame of the shot. The initial characters that the audience come into contact with is two white middle-aged men, which will appeal to my focus group as that is the age and gender of them too. By using the bold, warlike type of font, it helps to enforce that it is a masculine and possibly aggressive storyline, which also reflects one of the main characters in it. The first bit of dialogue that is spoken is of one of the main characters and his friend, referring to a football game which is stereotypically a man's sport. I felt that it was important to show Steve smoking, and close-ups of the two men clearly show that the audience what kind of social class they came from, and the smoking habit suggests the possibility of him starting from a young age or pursuing it to help relieve stress. The establishing shot of a run-down local pub next to a busy main road helped the characters to show that they are of a working-class background. The next shots of Tom beside a brick wall suggest he interlinks with the first two characters shown, and his costume and surroundings also suggest working class. My audience would identify with these features very well, as this social class is more often than not in social realism films. For example, London to Brighton also portrays their two main characters shown at the beginning to be of a working class, shown by their costumes and accents. Furthermore, I prevented my characters having accents that were too well-spoken English. The bullying scene is a vital part of my opening sequence. I planned to do this to give the audience an obvious insight into what the film would be about, which is homophobia between the son and the father. The antagonistic dialogue that is used by the ringleader of the bullies helps to give the audience an idea of what Tom's day-to-day life is like. This will attract my audience as it's a bit of action and social drama, which is a convention they would expect of a social realism film. However, Tom merely responds to them with a one-line piece of dialogue, which leaves enigma codes for the audience, making them wonder why he did not defend himself more. This part of my film would allow the audience to fulfill the diversion category of theorists Blumler and Katz uses in gratification theory that they developed in 1974. This theory was made to identify the four main uses society has for consuming the media. Diversion enables the passive audience to be faced with the characters' problems in order for them to escape their own. It also allows emotional release. The following scene shows my other main character, Steve, walking up an embankment and bridge under the influence of alcohol. I chose to shoot this in broad daylight to help the audience understand he was an alcoholic. The choice of soundtrack for this section assisted with giving the impression that the film had a despondent atmosphere, suggesting it will give them emotional release. The location I chose for this part would appeal to my audience as it is a fairly working to middle class area. This dirty-looking 1970s white bridge definitely suggests that the surroundings in which the character lives by is run down.